Let's talk about felons and firearms. What's up, Wolverines? Welcome back to John Crump News. I'm your host, John Crump, and on this channel we discuss 2A issues. Please do me a favor by commenting, and subscribing to the channel. It really helps amplify my voice and gets my voice out there. Today we are brought to you by our friends over at Gideon Optics. Gideon Optics makes some of the highest quality optics on the planet at a very affordable price. So why spend more than you need to on an optic when you can get a quality optic from Gideon Optics? And for a limited time you can use code CRUMPY and you get 10% off and free shipping. Thank you, Gideon Optics, for sponsoring this show. Now let's go ahead and talk about guys that have guns that are not good guys. The first case we're going to be talking about is the Rahimi case. The Rahimi case is in front of the Supreme Court. Rahimi was a domestic abuser who had a domestic abuse order against him. Therefore, he was not allowed to own a gun, yet he was charged with it because he did own guns. In fact, he shot at people. So that leads me to my question. Why was he out on the streets if he was a danger to himself and others? Shouldn't he have been in jail? I don't think a piece of paper was going to stop him from getting a gun. In fact, it did not. But the government filed a brief last night in the Rahimi case stating that they believe that it is constitutional to forbid people from having guns if they are not law-abiding. And this is a key here because there's so many laws on the books that there's no way you can go throughout a whole day without violating a law. And they don't specify violent crimes or any other crimes. They just say law-abiding, which means if you speed, the government may think that's enough to take away your firearms. I'm not saying that they do, but by the letter of the law and in their language, they could if they get their way. Also, they say responsible. What is responsible? Now the government can twist that around to whatever definition that they want. And this is why the brief is so dangerous. Mark from Four Boxes Diner did a great video on there. So go ahead and check out Mark from Four Boxes Diner. He breaks it down tremendously well and better than I could ever do. Now, the second case is not on the federal level. It is on the state level in the Sunshine State, which is Florida. It involves a man named William Edenfield who was charged with being a felon in possession of a firearm. He tried to get his conviction overturned on the district level, but a 3-judge panel ruled against him. Now his attorneys have appealed to the Florida Supreme Court, stating that the state cannot ban a felon from having a firearm. His lawyer's argument is the state's prohibition against a felon with a firearm goes against the Bruin decision. The Bruin decision says that a law has to be consistent with the text, tradition, and history of the Second Amendment. And they are pointing out during the ratification of the Second Amendment in 1791 that there was no laws preventing felons from owning firearms. So he lost on the district level in front of a 3-judge panel. Now he's hoping that the Supreme Court rules in his favor. We're going to see challenges like this a lot. And this guy might not be a good guy. He's currently in jail. But that does not mean he gives up his rights. Just like Rahimi. Rahimi might be a scumbag, but he should not have to give up his rights. The Rahimi case is interesting because this is the case that the antis wanted the Supreme Court to take up. There was another case involving a guy that was convicted of shoplifting 30 years ago, and they did not want that case because that would have shown the fallacy of their position. But now that they have a Rahimi up there, they're going to point out that he is a dangerous person. And like I said earlier in the video, if he's so dangerous, why isn't he locked up? In fact, he probably should be locked up. He shot at multiple people. That's the type of guy that should be locked up. He had a domestic restraining order against him, and yet he still had a gun. That right there should show you that a little piece of paper saying that you're not allowed to own a gun does nothing. If a criminal wants to get a gun, they will get a gun. And if a criminal has a gun, I would rather be armed than not armed. I will at least have a fighting chance to fight back against my aggressor. So, a couple interesting things, and we'll see what goes on with these two cases. The Rahimi case has me really, really worried because he is not a sympathetic character at all. And I think that the antis are going to exploit that in front of SCOTUS. Hopefully, SCOTUS stays strong and they stay faithful to the Second Amendment, which I don't know if they will or not, especially Roberts and Amy Coney Barrett, but we'll have to see. All right, guys, that is it for today. If you haven't noticed, I am not at home, so the videos might be coming out slowly. In fact, I had a video scheduled for yesterday, but then I realized I already covered the topic, so I went ahead and scrapped it. So that's why at the beginning of the video I had a different shirt on, because I didn't start over from the very, very beginning. I started over from a point where I could just get this video done and out the door. Alright guys, if you want to support me, there are tons of ways to support me down below. Patreon, locals, I have a membership button that you can hit and join, PayPal, whatever you want to do. Go ahead and join my Discord. Remember, over on crumpy.com, CRUMPY.com, there is a contest. There will be a random person that wins a Steyr. No purchase necessary because I'm not selling anything. It's just a way to give back to the gun community, and that is a contest ran by Flying Rich from Flying Rich Firearms and me. We also co-host John Crump Live. Alright guys, that is it. Stay ever vigilant. Sorry, stay ever vigilant, stay ever free, keeping the fight. I am out of here. Wolverine, the motherfucker.